Hello and welcome to Stylish Chats with Creatives. Today on the podcast, I've got Martha Hussey. Martha is a model and a textile artist, and we first met over a decade ago when Martha was coming to model for the studio I worked at. Hello, my love.
Hello.
How are you doing? You all right?
Yeah, I'm all right. A bit nervous, but
That's all right. It's good to have a little bit of nerves.
yeah.
So I've been seeing on your LinkedIn, on your Instagram, all your textile work at the moment. It looks insane.
Thank you.
Looks so good. Have you had, I saw you've had a commission for a couple of hotels.
Yeah, there's a new hotel opening in Berwick Street, which commissioned the owner's portraits to be hand embroidered. So I did that for the restaurant. It's not opened yet, but when it does, I'll be posting about that, I'm sure.
That's insane.
Really lovely doing. I'd love to do more work with hotels and large spaces. But yeah, that was really lovely.
That's so cool. Like, how did you get into the textile stuff? So I know that you studied at, I've forgotten the college, St Martin's?
Yeah.
Yeah. So fill us in how you got to where you are.
So basically, I did a fine art degree at St Martin's. So I generally painted. That was my medium at the time. And then I came out of St Martin's. The week I graduated, I got scouted, and I thought it's never something I wanted. I've never been like, oh, I want to be a model, or that's my goal. So I just thought, fine, I'll see what it's all about and do it for a couple of months, and then I wanted to get basically earn some money coming out of college and do another course in what I wanted to do back then was to do prosthetics, makeup and film.
Cool.
That kind of thing, because my aunt has all her life worked for Jim Henson Creature Shop. Mm-hmm. So I had done work experience with her in the creature shop making these incredible creatures and things, and then it just sort of slipped away into the modelling for years and years. I've been doing it for 20 years now, and along the way, I had, straight out of college, I had 2 art agents. So I did various shows from here in New York and commissions through her and generally did that side of things and featured in magazines and things. And then I kind of got lost in the modelling for quite a while because it was full-time, travelling, doing lots of things, and it sort of it got lost in it, basically. And then I started to feel really disconnected and like I wasn't doing my purpose and I wasn't happy in terms of I wasn't creating anything, and there was definitely something missing. And so I started trying to just do things on the go and do something every day or something every week and get back into it. And working in the fashion world with all these incredible designers, I picked up quite a lot of techniques and fascination of the fabrics that they were using and the mood boards. And I don't know, I just kind of wanted to create like they were in a way, not fashion, but just using textiles and embroidery and things. So that's what I started doing. And I was using any scrap fabrics as well that they were giving off, calico that they were doing their twirls in, and using that a bit like canvas. And then I started, I've always liked doing portraits, so I started stitching as if it was, so the thread was like paint. So that became my new technique, basically, and I just embroidered commissions for people, and that, I feel like I'm just going on and on, but basically that then went into it was lockdown actually that I bought a tufting gun. That been used obviously, and then wanted to get into larger pieces, and so wool became my embroidery thread, and then I started doing large wall hangings, and just like the fact that you could really touch them and feel them, and it was basically big soft portraits but loads of colour. And that's kind of where it's been going at the moment.
It's so fascinating how you've kind of gone full circle.
Yeah.
the modelling's now the side
Yeah.
piece, and your tufting and all of your embroideries like the main part. It's really cool.
Thanks. It's really lovely to be making and doing things all the time. It's definitely like getting lost in it. During the first lockdown as well, just before that, I decided to do a diploma in art psychotherapy. It was mainly child psychotherapy, and then you would just use the arts for facilitating. And it was difficult because when we were there practically, it was an amazing course, but then it went into lockdown and everything was on Zoom, and you were trying to do kind of workshops and being a therapist and a patient and doing all those sort of things over online, and it was a bit more difficult. But it was fascinating to learn how art does help the mind and, like get things out. And, clay, for example, would bring out some crazy things that you didn't even, I don't know how to explain it, but basically it was just the technique, just feeling it, the tactile sort of nature of it would bring out any kind of trauma and then you had to like learn about all of that and what's going on in your mind. And it's just, it was fascinating. So that was, another one of my interests.
That sounds really cool as well. Like you hear about art therapy and how helpful it is to people. And you kind of don't really, like I did a fine art course at college, and you don't really think of it, I suppose when you're younger, you don't really think of it helping you heal in a way.
Yeah. And I guess that, I mean, without thinking that's what I was doing, I guess I've been doing it since I was a kid, and you realise why a child can be like completely silent, just sat there because they're ploughed into this art that they're doing and they don't think about anything else. And it's like a kind of flow state of, you're not constantly in your head, or you're not worried about what anyone else is thinking or what you're having to do next. You're just like making. And I guess that sort of, my mum was an art teacher, my dad was a jeweler, my sister's a graphic designer. So it's within the family, we just always used to, I don't know, on holidays, it was, instead of a journal, it was like a sketchbook of every day, what happened and what, and just loved it. So I think that's, thanks to my parents as well, that I was just shown lots of art all the time and exhibitions and private views with them and things when I was little. So I think I've always been into it.
Yeah, it's really, I love the art world, and I don't do it enough. I don't craft enough, but like, it's so relaxing. Like you say, you can just sit and just zone out.
Yeah.
It's so nice.
I think there's something with the embroidery as opposed to, I mean, I love doing the large wall hangings, but there's actually quite a lot of body work in doing those. It can like really shake you up, and like it's heavy, and your arms ache and your back and stuff. But with the embroidery, you can take it anywhere with you. Something about pulling it through the fabric as well. It's like a really weird, the feel of it and everything. You kind of get really lost in it. So, I mean, getting stuck into a portrait where just loads of different skin tones and textures, I just think it's the texture that is, really enjoyable.
Yeah, because the way you're like threading, somebody on my course years ago, she was a portrait artist really, and she layered up paint to give the texture, and it's the same. I see a similarity in your thread work. It's like you're layering up to get the texture, to get the colours all in, and it's just, they're just beautiful.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I think when I started, I was using a full embroidery thread, and it was only when I was again on a job where the seamstress or something said, "Oh, you can split skeins up. There's like 6 in one thread," and I was like, "What?" So I've been using the whole thick threads, which was really nice because it gave a really thick texture to the pieces. But she then taught me how to like separate the threads, and then it could get finer and finer. And I've always been quite fascinated with things being like so much detail, that I got told off when I was at school being like, get bigger, get loose, just experiment. And I was just always like, got to be really. So it was really nice to sort of get finer and finer detail on using these threads.
Yeah, it's fascinating who you come across because of your modeling, like if you hadn't have modeled, you wouldn't have come across that seamstress who would have taught you a
Yeah.
different skill as well. It's really like, it's crazy how they've intertwined so nicely.
Yeah. I mean, I think it was really unconscious that it was only recently when I'm writing a bio for the website, or, you know, trying to sort of work through what I've done, that you realise that it is really linked and that is a massive influence. But I don't think I would have, you know, known that as I was doing it, plodding along. And but you pick up so much from different types of designers that I've worked for, as well as, you know, they're totally different in each. You know, they're all differently creatively, but yeah, I guess I've learned something from everyone that I've worked for, and sometimes I come back just desperate to get working because I'm like, ooh, that's a really nice thing. You know, you sort of stand there silent and feeling really, you know, like just a thing, and you have all these thoughts going on in your head, but you don't say anything because you're just the model. And so it's kind of nice to then get home and get it all out and be creative.
Yeah. Do you find modeling now? I know you've just been to Paris, haven't you? Do you find you're coming away from it more and going into your textile stuff more, or?
It's sort of, I guess it's sort of 50-50, but I'm definitely wanting to be more into doing, you know, I'm very grateful that this has been going. I didn't think I'd be lasting very long, and like 20 years later, I didn't think that I'm losing my voice. But yeah, I'm grateful to have the two together, because I think actually it's always really difficult being an artist and having something that's so open, and you can, you know, have the time to do the art as well, and you've got your freelance, so you can kind of pick and choose what you do, then it's a really nice compliment to it. But yeah, I definitely love doing the art.
Yeah. How what other modelling work have you been on? Have you been doing a lot of ecom still, or are you doing fits and walks, or?
Yeah, just fits in Paris, and, you know, various things. Sometimes econ, but yeah, just bits here and there, really.
Yeah, because you were quite a staple at the studio we worked at. You were there
Yeah,
quite a lot, from what I remember.
yeah. I think I've done all those different
Yeah,
films. But yeah,
yeah. The ecom stuff, I imagine, is a bit mind numbing if you know.
yeah, it's a bit like go into robot mode, I suppose. But it was always, you know, it's always a good one to have. And
Yeah, it's that's it. It's like that people, when I'm talking to say like my mum and dad who aren't in the industry, you're like, well, ecom's like quick and easy for everybody. It's just
yeah,
like easy bread and butter money, you know, like, and but they're like, but the shots look so nice and they're all so lovely, and you're like, yeah, none of us are really thinking, we're just like cracking on, you know,
yeah,
because it's so natural to us to just be like, right, okay, you've got your 10 poses, we know where to like put the toilet roll
yeah.
down the back of the pants to make the pants look flush and
Oh
stuff like
God, I
that.
remember that.
Yeah, that
The
trick's still
toilet
being used
roll.
in some studios.
Oh, I remember so many times. It was either like a toilet roll or a can of hairspray or something shoved up your bra to try and make it look like it fitted, because it was like
Yeah.
2 sizes too big.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's good. Good behind the scenes. Like if people could see on these slick websites what you know,
Oh
how
yeah.
how
Yeah.
made them look.
Yeah, exactly. And I think like it's all the bulldog clips and it's all the
Yeah.
like just, and then you guys having to stand in heels all day, or
Oh
you
God,
know.
yeah. I mean, it is nuts when you think heels do make things look lovely, but I cannot stand, you know, I avoid them in real life, because I think that's the thing. You dress up all day long as you're living, and then you get home and you're like, oh God, tracksuit bottoms and like, you know,
Yeah.
beats and just relax. Not so great for boyfriends, but great.
Well, they get to see what you looking gorgeous on all these websites, so it's like,
That,
you know.
but yeah, occasions. But, yeah.
Yeah, that's it. I don't style model anymore because there's like so many other people doing it and who are better than me, but like I just remember the days where like you guys were all in heels, even in your underwear, doing
Yeah.
underwear shoots, you're in heels to make your bums look good and your calves look good
Yeah.
and everything else. And like people don't realize how hard that is for you guys to just like be stood
Physically, it
all
is.
day.
Yeah. Even in like, I mean, I'm quite lucky with the Paris job that I've just done, but when I've done things like that, where it's a showroom, you know, you're doing all day long outfit after outfit and you're in heels and you're walking back and forth, you think the coverage you must have done like stepwise. You're actually just constant. And yeah, your body does take a big bashing. And you know, it's not as easy as it looks all the time, not as glamorous necessarily, but can be. But yeah.
Yeah. So you were doing fits in Paris, or were you walking catwalks as well?
Oh no, just showroom. So when buyers, you know, come to buy the collections and stuff, so it's like multi-brand showroom. And yeah, haven't been doing the catwalks for a while. They are full on, but yeah.
Yeah, I imagine they're quite intense.
I actually weirdly quite liked doing shows because although there were thousands of people or loads of people, you don't catch the eye necessarily. And I found it really intense where, you know, you're on set with the makeup artist, the director, the photographer, the stylist, the, you know, like all the kind of people that come with it, all just staring at you, just hoping that you make the right, you know, look or do. It's just intense for someone who's quite shy. People never understood why I was like, I don't really like my picture being taken. It's like, what?
Yeah.
What do you do for a living? You're like, no, I don't get really nervous. So
yeah,
shows were quite good to just get on and off, and it was really fast paced. But
I'd never thought of it like that actually. That like being the stylist that's looking at a model along with the rest of the crew. I'd never thought about how you guys must feel just having like 10 sets of eyes looking at you, just like
yeah, or like the kind of the aftermath, you know, taking the picture and then going, okay, try that again. Try that again. It means, oh god, it must be awful. Like, you know, what's going on in your mind is, unless they're like, yeah, that's great, da, 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 you just know that they're looking at it going, oh, okay, we haven't quite got this. So
yeah,
and that's
yeah.
Yeah.
It's quite hard to like find the words, because sometimes some people just go, oh, well, there's just something off on the image. And you're like, that's not really helpful for anybody.
No.
But then it's hard to direct what you trying to like.
You might not even know what you're thinking that you need. You're just like, it's just off. It's just not.
Yeah. And it's really hard to kind of say like, you know, is it the arm placement? Is it the leg placement? Is it like, is it the lighting? Is it the styling? And nobody knows. And they're just like, And that's really what they mean, is they're like, nobody's really sure, but something's not quite working.
But in your mind, you're like, oh my God, it's this, you know.
Yeah. And you go through, and I'd always go through the outfits and be like, can you see a clip? Can you do, is this like... Yeah.
Nothing worse than getting to the end of it and then going, oh, I've got to redo all those because there was this and this. And
yeah.
These things.
It's nothing worse.
No. But then again, you get like, if you do fitting work and things like that, you get told, you never knew how many things were wrong with my body until you do.
Oh.
Without realising, people are saying things constantly without, like, they don't think that you'll feel anything from it. They're going, oh yeah, but you know, Martha's got one, you know, she's got, she's quite broad, or she's, I've had loads of funny things like, your arm's particularly long, or, oh, you've got like the slant of your shoulder, or you realise how many weird things. I mean, everyone's bodies are slightly, you know, they're not symmetrical, and especially things like holding a bag on one side. You learn all these little things, but they're looking at you physically, like just literally like, okay, how is this like clothes hanger going to work?
Yeah.
But the things that you hear daily, you're like, okay, so that's me with my this and this list of things that are wrong with me. Cheers. But then I go home and do the art therapy.
Yeah.
I work through all the trauma of the day.
I was just going to ask actually, like, how does it make you feel? Because people are obviously, they've picked you because you're the right size, the right height, and the right fit for their clothing. And then how does it make you feel when they're going like, oh, one shoulder's lower than the other, or like, your arms look long? Like, that must be quite hard mentally.
It is really hard, actually. There's been really sort of hard times where you go through it and you think, oh, you know, you've kind of got to be really hard-skinned about it all. And sometimes I am, sometimes I'm not, mostly not. But I was thinking about, what was I thinking recently was, just like when you talk to family and friends about it and you're like, oh God, this is worrying, or this stresses me out about the job because if they think this and that. And then people in the real world are kind of going, oh, don't be ridiculous. It's fine. You look, your size is this, or whatever it is that they're looking at. And you're like, yeah, but if I lose the job because of that, because that is the job, like you have to keep a certain size, or you have to, all these sort of things. It's as though, like, for example, my sister being a graphic designer, it's like, oh, imagine you just lost your design skills overnight and no one will book you because they're like, but she can't complete the job. It's really scary. So if you suddenly go, oh God, I've put on a bit of weight, or this, like these things, you realize your income's going to go and you need that. And so it is a really stressful thing. It's not just about being like, let, water roll off your back, but yeah, it's just tough sometimes.
Yeah, it's quite like, I remember speaking to a plus size model on a shoot and she was told that she'd got too thin, and she was like, I don't know, say size 14, and she was like, I've been told by my agent I'm too thin now, but all she'd done was like maybe go for a little bit more walking or do a bit more exercise, and she was like, I'm just trying to mentally like make myself a bit happier, but now I've potentially lost work because I've lost a bit of weight. It's like, it's mad how objective it is actually. Like, it's as though, like you're saying, as though you guys are just like clothes hangers and people forget that you're real people as well. Yeah
just that it's like nature, like you work, you're doing a job and it might be that time of the month or something, or your body, you do fluctuate, and you do have, we've just had a relentless winter, or we're still in it, and like we've had lockdowns and things, and so there are elements that are going to change because you are human. But it's kind of, I don't know, it's a hard one to just take on the chin, I suppose.
I suppose some of that resilience has probably come from doing it for so long as well, though. You've probably heard it, a lot of it before, and just like, oh well, whatever, and flicking the V's. Yeah
exactly. The other thing that not just I noticed a while back, not so much now, but there was another model I heard about recently who was working out, like in terms of being healthy and doing fitness things or like you were saying, it's like to make you feel happy and mental state and things. And then got told to basically stop doing it because she bulked up. It's not like bulking too much, but she just had some sort of tone to her, whereas she should have been like this, literally like waif. And it was like, oh my God, so you've actually got to stop doing, that's when it's bizarre. Because generally my whole life I've never, I couldn't put on weight when I was younger. So I think a lot of models are just naturally that way. Otherwise it would be incredibly hard to just punish yourself for years. It's like that's wouldn't be possible. So usually it is just like metabolism, but I guess there are times where you might have been like, oh, boxing's great, and then oh, my arm's too big and they're slanty. But
that's mad, because it's like, in my head, my logical head goes, well, get the model some more Polaroids and advertise her as slightly sportier. Like, how
I know, but I guess it depends what type of job you're doing, and like there are things like sports jobs and things like that. So it's a funny world.
It's wild, and especially when you're like, I remember having to book like you guys, and then new faces would be sent through as well, and then you're looking with like, say, a photographer or whatever, and you're like, oh yeah, this person would suit this brand and this person would suit this brand, and you're literally going off looks all the time. And just not even, it's almost like you're looking at like Pokemon cards or something, and you're like, right height, right shoe size.
She ticks like, what bonus points have I got on this one? It's but then like that is the job. It's not like you can't go through it and go, oh, but they don't like me because of the way I look. Well, that's what you're there for. Like, it is, you kind of have to be okay with that. But it's a funny industry.
Funny old game, isn't it?
I'm not like you know, I'm incredibly lucky to have been doing it for so long. So it's lovely, but definitely want to be doing something rewarding and where I can actually show off a skill or something, or like give something out rather than just standing there and people have no idea. And the most frustrating thing for me is if I ever get anyone see me stitching on a job or something to go, oh, are you doing a bit of cross stitch? Or are you doing, well, I can't remember what the word is, but they often say it to you in a really patronising, like thinking that you're just doing a bit of craft, and you kind of go, okay, yeah, and you almost want to have to show them the whole thing to be able to say, actually, I started as an artist, and then and I'm doing that. It's not just a little hobby, and it just annoys me. It's like the whole thing about embroidery being a woman's work, and men go, oh, can you darn my socks for me? Or it's like little comments about, I've got some jeans I've got to rip in, and it can be really frustrating when it's not taken seriously. But
yeah, I think that's it. It's like you say, embroidery being like women's work, and then like I love a cross stitch, but it's definitely completely worlds apart from what you're doing. Like
yeah,
the
not
opposite end of
following
the
a pattern
spectrum.
of stitch. I mean, I'm not saying anything wrong about cross stitch. It was more just that, if I was I don't know what I would say. Like if I was painting a portrait and someone said, "Oh, would you paint my walls?" It's kind of just, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just taking it as a thing. It's just like, oh, well, anyone could do it. Or I remember someone saying, oh, I'd like to do that, or I do that as well, or something. And you just think, but you're talking about, and I've seen what they do, and it's like it's not the same thing, and it's kind of disheartening, I suppose. But
Yeah. But then you've got commissions and all sorts of
yeah,
other bits and bobs. So it's like, it's obvious when somebody's got that skill, and you can, I love how you just sketch it on your fabric and you're just like, boom, boom, boom. And I'm like, what? How have
yeah,
you thought that this
like a
is,
line becomes this textured thing.
yeah, it's amazing. But I think it must be really nice while you're waiting around, because there's a lot of waiting in modelling as well, isn't
Yeah,
there? And like, it must be really nice to just have that creative escapism while you're
definitely.
working as well
Yeah,
on the
it's really,
tube or whatever.
yeah, no, definitely. It's been really handy having that because it's really mobile, and depending on what job it is, you can take the smaller pieces with you, and it's just get lost in that and stop thinking about the other world that you're in. But yeah, it's really handy. I've actually just been today to pick up some pieces of silk from a designer who creates these dresses that are interchangeable with like sleeves and things you can add to it, and like ways that you can basically make an outfit last longer, or like a piece of clothing isn't just a throwaway item. It's like, this sort of idea of dressing it up or changing it so it becomes like different outfits, which is a really nice idea for the whole sustainable, fashion. And so when she said she had a load of pieces of silk that she's had, scraps of, I want to try and do a piece like a collaboration with her, using
Oh, cool.
so it'll be, yeah, like not upcycling, but it's that kind of, I love the idea of using stuff that's come from these design studios and creating something new with them. Or yeah.
Yeah, that's really cool. That sounds like a really cool idea as well that she's got, because there's so many things, like my wedding dress. It's in that
Yeah,
beige suitcase. It got worn once. I mean, I absolutely love it, but like, what else do you do with it? Like,
yeah.
especially when it's a big piece that you've bought that's super expensive, and
Mm,
can we be more sustainable with what we're wearing, what we're buying? How can we fix stuff? You know,
yeah, yeah. Just like have something that's going to keep going, have a bit more life to it. We're not just
yeah,
wearing things and just a one-off occasion dress or something. It's like she can then wear it to various events or whatever. It's just a nice
yeah.
idea. Same with, she's also created a dress out of scraps that she's from other dresses, which looks beautiful. I just loved the dress as it
Wow.
was because I was like, wow, it looks amazing, like these, color blocking. And she was like, oh, well, it's these offcuts. So I like the idea of doing that. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with it yet, but we were just discussing today, like some form of collaboration would be lovely.
That's really exciting. That's
Yeah.
super exciting. And like, it's nice that these designers are going, oh yeah, do you want to do something with me? And I've got like yards
Yeah.
of scrap, and it's good as going to a different use as well.
Yeah, exactly. And I love the idea of doing these collaborations with other artists. I did one recently, and with like a fashion illustrator, and I'm hoping to do another one coming up end of this year, and any more that I can think of that would sort of complement each other. But it's a nice idea to then collaborate with another artist and bring the form together, like it's just doing a woven version or a different types. Yes,
Yeah.
just interesting.
It sounds really cool. I can't wait to see how these projects come out, because it's so cool. It absolutely fascinates me,
Oh, thanks.
because I just don't have the patience for it.
Yeah. Weirdly, I think I do have a lot of patience. I must do, probably because of the job as well. A lot of waiting around, but yeah, that side of things doesn't bother me. I think I've always quite liked the idea of like a bit of repetition and slow down, but sit and do the same thing over and over. I mean, that sounds really boring. Like I want to work in a factory, but it's like something really lovely about it.
Yeah, and like actually taking the time to like finish it and stuff. That's my problem, is I've got stuff that I've just not finished. And like, I'm a bugger for it. I'll be like, oh yeah, I'll start that. And then I go at it with all guns blazing, and then it just goes by the wayside because I don't have time, or I don't want to slow down to do it.
The other thing is, if I've started something and I've really loved it and then something's gone wrong with it and I really hate it, and then it's just I've got these bits that are sort of half done and I can't face going back to it, but it's such a waste, and especially when it's fabrics, it's not just paint or paper that you can just... So yeah, there's definitely a bit of that. I've had a really big clear out recently and just sort of gone, right, anything I'm not going to use, because a lot of the time I'll be, I want to do lino cuts, I want to do, like, there's never an ending to what I want to sort of try. So I've got all this stuff that is just like overcrowding and going, okay, no, stop. Like, are you actually going to make that or use that resin, or just stick to one thing? Because I'm also a massive procrastinator. Like, get up in the morning and think, oh, but I wanted to do that, or I'm just going to, I'll just try this a little bit, and then you just end up with a big mess. So it's quite good to do a bit of a spring clean.
Yeah. I'm the same. I love like printing. I love doing stitching. I love doing like cross stitch. I love painting, drawing. And then I don't ever carve out the time to do it. And then the pandemic hit, and I actually sat and painted and was like singing and dancing away,
Yeah.
painting and all sorts. Absolutely loved it. And it's because I had the time to sit there and just experiment and let it go.
Yeah. A lot of people, I think, said the same about lockdown, and certainly for me, it really kick-started. I mean, I was always doing bits on the side, but it really allowed me that time to not only get ploughed into the diploma and read all the endless books I had to read on the psychology, but also getting just really being able to experiment and having enough time to finish pieces and get really stuck into it and like learn a new skill. That was, yeah, I think for a lot of people, that kind of weird, and having something like the idea of everyone being at home, it wasn't like, I don't have to feel guilty that I'm not working today, I haven't got a job, or shit, when's my next job coming through? It's, we're all sitting here at home and we're all having to get through it.
Yeah.
Even just thinking about having the time on Sunday, just that it was with this weather just being like relentless rain, and that's all it is. I'm like, oh, I need to get out. No, okay. And I basically stayed in all day cooking, and it was so it was almost in the same way. It was just so lovely. It was just having the time to fully go through it that I ended up cutting pastry into like fine strips and plaiting the pastry for a top of a pie. And I'm like, what am I doing? It's just, but it was really therapeutic. I just sat there.
Yeah.
I'm never going to do that if I had like a family of 5 and things to do. But I was like, I've got far too much time on my hands. I'm just sat here plaiting pastry.
But I think that's nice. Like, it is nice to take the time to just slow down, put your phone down. For me, it's like putting my phone away.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
like,
if my hands are busy, then I'm not. It's like amazing how long I can stay off my phone.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I'm the same. I put mine away on Saturday, and I think my mate texted me and I'd just missed the text. And then I saw her today and I was like, I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
Like I didn't
Not
mean
like,
not to text you. I was just like having a day off it, because I don't know if you find this. I find that social media can sometimes bring out like the green-eyed monster in me, and I'm like, why is that person doing that? And I don't get
yeah,
to do that. And actually, when I sit down and like slap myself around the face, I've done some pretty cool stuff, so it's fine. But you just like judging yourself on that person's like perfect.
curated life. Well,
Yeah.
yeah, it is that thing, isn't it? And the more people I've spoken to who, I'm not in a relationship and are actually loving being in my own space, doing what I want to do, and it's all fine. But there are obviously those days where you're like, it would be really nice to sort of be doing something with someone. You're all like, friends wise, or with their families or their kids, or busy at weekends and things. And then you speak to them and they're like, I know I just posted that thing that we're on holiday or in this lovely thing, or, we've been to this lovely restaurant, but he's not speaking to me. She's da 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 da, and then you realise the actual life. You're like, oh, okay. They're like, oh God, what I wouldn't give to be sat there having a glass of wine, chilling out, not to, whatever.
Yeah.
And you realise, yeah, obviously it's very easy to envy what everyone else is doing, but
Yeah. Yeah,
it's
that's it.
all a curated life.
Yeah, I think like social media is a hard one because, like you, I need to use it for business.
Yeah,
But it's like balancing it that I put up fun stuff on my like private one, and it's like pictures of us or the dog or whatever. Like I put up pictures. We went to Scarborough on Sunday for the day and took the dog, and she's quite a nervous dog. And honestly, there was so many dogs. It was like a
oh,
beacon
no.
had been called, and all the dogs around the area were on the beach. So like we went and got some chips. We were only there like an hour and a half
Yeah,
max, maybe, because she was like scared. And it was so busy. We were like, geez, I've not seen this many people like post pandemic. And then, so we posted these like few nice pictures. And then someone was like, oh, did you have a really good day? I was like, we literally spent 2 hours there, if that.
exactly.
Like,
Oh, you're
you
on
know,
holiday. Oh, you're out. No, just
yeah. But
yeah,
it's hard. Like, it's hard to be like honest on there on social media without getting like loads of backlash and,
yeah. I
you
love
know,
that people are being more and more honest now, and it's like it's funny, or it's sort of preferred to have people say, "Oh God, this is what I actually look like," or
yeah,
this is what's happened this morning, or like anything that shows you that it isn't this perfect life is great.
yeah,
And yeah, like you said, having it for work, or having it, to promote your work, when you have to be on it and you're having to sort of like reply to things, it is really difficult not to just get completely distracted. And then you're like, oh God, I've gone down a rabbit hole and I've been on this for far too long. So I spent, again, far too long, but I spent a long time the other day just culling like the illustrated stitch so that I could only see things, that were to do with art, or that were going to inspire me, or that were helpful in some way, or a gallery or whatever. And so now I'm trying to, hopefully it won't be endless dog videos popping up and things that, that I do tend to get stuck into. So, yeah, it's just trying to like curate it
yeah,
as
yeah.
to what.
I'm the same. Like my personal one is all like connections I've made along the way, but
Yeah.
like personal connections. And then my work ones I call work connections. I tried not to mix them because I was finding like it too much,
Yeah.
And then the podcast one is completely separate, and I've just curated that. But it's about scheduling it now. I've got to start scheduling posts and stuff so that I remember to put stuff in, and so I don't run away with a day at work and then think like, oh God, I've got like an episode coming out
Yeah.
and like I haven't promoted it, and
It's really good to have it all organised like that and scheduled posts. And
yeah,
I'm a bit all over it, but like you, the personal and the work one needs to sort of just have purely work focused things. Then that if you're drifting into the other one, then you're like, going to go down the rabbit hole.
yeah. I have to put a timer on mine as well, otherwise I'll be on it for like hours.
Although I've put a timer on it and then I ignore the timer. Keep saying ignore. Ignore for today. Yeah, it's a good reminder. Like, you have been on it too long. Okay, thanks.
Yeah,
I'll be good at that.
yeah, definitely. I end up going like, oh, and then I see somebody's styled this and then I see this, and before I know
Yeah.
it, I'm down some sort of like crazy styling hole or
Yeah.
like
It
inspiration
leads
hole.
you on to something else. And they love that. I mean, that's why they do all the bloody what they put out there and the adverts and the links and things, so that you end up going, oh, hang on a second. It
Yeah.
is a mind game, but it's also good to have.
Yeah. Do you find you get much work via Instagram for your modeling and for your textile art as well?
Yeah, definitely for the art modeling side of things, probably more word of mouth.
Hmm.
You know, like people that I've worked with before, or I've gone to another. But you know, it's kind of always been that way. But well, yeah, a bit of both, I suppose. Actually, thinking about it, but
Yeah.
I'm not really one of those that I know that this is the thing that you should do. But I've never really been the one that sort of posts out loads of things of being the model side of things, and that's my private account anyway. So yeah, it's not like I get new things from that. So
Yeah. I find the crossover like between some models now becoming more like content creators.
yeah,
That crossover's a bit, I suppose, because I've come from it from like 15
you,
years ago where social media wasn't really a thing.
I know, because you think they're being really vain, but they're being told to post now like so many things, or you've got to have a certain amount of followers, and it's sort of that with everything. You know, like if you have enough followers, we'll give you this, or you'll be verified, or you'll be, you know. And it is sad that that's what it's become. But you know, working in Paris with some girls, it's just like, are you actually going to do some work, or are you every outfit you've put on doing a video of yourself, just shooting yourself, constant selfie, selfie, selfie? And I just find it infuriating. But actually, I'm like, oh no, that's what you should be doing. That's probably getting them work. But yeah, it's
Yeah.
so totally different to how it used to be.
Yeah, 100%. Are you still with an agent as well for your modelling?
Not really.
No.
I sort of ended the agency a while ago because then you don't have all the fees.
Yeah.
And I had all the word of mouth and regular people. It was just like work through them and they'd contact you directly. I think there's quite a lot of that now as well.
Yeah. Definitely like a model who you would know, and I can't she did a lot for Debenhams as well. And she's done the same, but she's had a little one and she was just like, it's easier without,
Yeah,
because she has gone more the what's the word I'm looking for, like lifestyle route. So like she was doing
yeah,
a lot for like the supermarkets and stuff like that, like in the lifestyle bits. And she did the same. She left the agency because she was just like, it's too much for I only want to work a couple of days a week because of Littlen and stuff. So it just makes sense if you've got enough regular clients, like the
yeah.
agency's redundant really.
No, exactly. I mean, when it was, I mean, I was regularly working for like Victoria Beckham and Tom Ford and places like that. So they were really, you know, it was just, it made sense rather than booking out every day to just be with them and go direct. And then, you know, McQueen and Ralph and Russo. But then lockdown, overnight, basically, two companies had gone completely bankrupt, like basically just closed the companies. And so I went from having like these basically almost full-time jobs to nothing overnight. And that's when it's terrifying, because you're like, okay, that's when you do need an agent or someone that's going to go out there and actively get you work. Because you can't really do that as an individual, because it sounds like, you know, can I, hi, I'm available.
Yeah.
So you do need that side of things. But yeah, so far it's been all right.
Yeah. I think lockdown was like shit for all of us. Like I walked in and then they were like, oh no, we can't have that many freelancers in, and you know, and I'm asthmatic, and we made the decision because Nath was still in and out of people's houses for me to stay in.
Yeah, so far.
Yeah. Yeah. But I still end up catching it 3 times anyway, so it's like typical, isn't it?
I remember
Like,
at the first lockdown, I was really angry. And I was one of the ones that, you know, got broken through. You know how it was like make or break with relationships and things. But the different views really come out when you're in lockdown, and it was like, oh, so you're breaking the rules and you're going out and you're hanging out with mates, drinking beers, and coming home to me, who's basically abided by the rules and stayed in. And, at the time we didn't know whether we were going to get it. We didn't know how bad it was. We didn't know if we were going to die from it, families, all of that.
Yeah.
So I remember just being infuriated by, like, you just don't get, like, that shouldn't be your decision. Like, you shouldn't then come home to me because I don't know what who you've been around.
Yeah.
So, yeah. It's a strange time.
Yeah, we found it weird because we lived in Stockport. So the people 2 doors down, we had quite a lot of like vulnerable, like older people around, and the family 2 doors down were just dicks. The hot throwing parties, doing like they just didn't care. And then like I was like making sure and other neighbours could get food, and like you're just like some people just don't.
Big divide then, wasn't it? It was
Yeah.
Same with scenes, I suppose. Yeah, everything.
It was just like I think it's changed people a lot. Like me and my work colleague were chatting today actually. Like I can't handle lots of noise anymore. Like I used to love going to the supermarket, and now I'm like I need to either put earplugs in or go like on a early morning or.
Yeah. It's funny you say that because I sort of worried sometimes. I was like, oh my God, maybe it's because I'm living on my own, or maybe it's because I'm a bit odd or something. I don't know what it is, but especially on that job in Paris, it was like 6 of us all in a small space for like a long time, I mean, just all being together for a long day every day for sort of 7 days, 6 days or something it was. And the noise levels of everyone talking at once, I was like, I can't. I felt like I wanted to do that, block your ears. And it was really like a lot, and you couldn't concentrate. And I was thinking, why can I not cope with that? But it makes sense, actually, because we obviously all were locked away from it all, very quiet.
Yeah, and then I think when people came out, they were way more cautious. The people I was around anyway. And it just like kind of... everyone kind of gently came back into work, and there was no like super noise. And now it's like people are whacking music up, and then people are like, over here, over here, over here. And I'm like, whoa, just get your deli counter number and I'll come to you in a minute.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Or like getting on a tube, a packed tube or something. It's like,
yeah.
Yeah, it's odd. And just like conversation wise and things like that, I feel like everything got really weird. Like we joke about it with friends, being like, I just don't know how to string a sentence together. As that I've stumbled on my own words then, but like I literally like, how do I interact again? Oh yeah, and you find yourself being really a bit odd sometimes in conversations, and I'm like, why did I just say that? Or like, but yeah, it's just like lack of practice for so long.
Yeah, I definitely I'm really social, and then when that happened, I remember going to see my mate. She'd had a baby in the middle of lockdown as well.
Yeah.
So like we were in part of their bubble, and we went to see her, and I was just like, I don't know how to act. Like,
yeah. Like,
is this the right way? Should I be swinging your baby around my head?
Yeah, and even now I feel like the hug goodbye or something like that, you just don't know anymore. Like, it's not that everyone's being really cautious, but it sort of it kind of got lost along the way or something. I don't know. Some people are really huggy. Some people are still a little bit like, oh, hi, a little bit defensive. So
yeah,
changed a lot.
I think like none of us really realised how impactful it was going to be. And I still think in like 10 years' time, we're going to be like, well, we're still a bit weird from that. And I wonder what the kids are going to be like who were brought into the world during the pandemic as well.
Totally, yeah. Yeah, a lot of things. Yeah.
Yeah, it was just weird.
Funny to think of, really.
Yeah,
like going for a dog walk, because I was like, allowed the one walk as we were. And I remember just trying to sit down on a bench because I'd walked bloody miles with this dog. And there was an actual police car went whoop, whoop, and moved me on, because you weren't supposed to sit at that time. You were supposed to just be moving. Like, you couldn't just go and sit down on a bench. You're outdoors, but it was like, it was so strict in the first one.
Yeah. I really regret not going into the centre of Manchester and taking loads of pictures during the first one, because it was dead.
Yeah, because I remember like just everyone saying the sounds, like it was so quiet. Everything was cleaner. I remember the canals. It was a joke that they were like, at one point someone was saying, well, dolphins in there, obviously not. But just like that, how clear it was. It was pristine. And it's just like all these things that we've polluted. It was a big eye opener.
Yeah, like for us, we lived like a couple of roads away from the main road going out of our little town near Stockport. And it would take you 10 minutes to cross that road with the dog to the park because it'd just be that busy. And I remember like probably a week after the proper lockdown started, I walked straight over. There was like 2 cars and you could hear so many birds. And I was like, I
Yeah.
have never heard this many birds in this park before. And it was just lovely. Like, I was like, oh, this is so nice. Probably explains why I moved to the countryside now. But,
Yeah.
you know, like,
I think that's probably one of the reasons I've had an absolute fascination since then with wanting to. Like, still live in London, but the stress of it all and the cost of living and all the things that go with it. I've just, I'm sure loads of people have just been obsessed with the idea of like cabins and, being out in the middle of nowhere or being by the sea or something. I just like always want to escape to somewhere, fresh air, quiet, big walks and things like that. And I think so many people did as well. It's not like a unusual trait, but yeah, it would be idyllic.
Yeah, we definitely, my sister did it as well because they were in Crouch End during the pandemic and then they moved out, I think in 2021 actually. Yeah. And like they just moved to Somerset.
Yeah.
They were like, right, great, gone.
Done. I know.
Yeah. But they said they were on like a first floor flat, like an old Victorian townhouse that's split into like 3. And she was just like, there was no outdoor space. Like, and every time they wanted to go to like Finsbury Park, it was full. And she was just like, it's just too much.
Yeah, you just need that getaway. Like, just always trying to escape. I went to Margate yesterday for the day just because the sun came out for the first time in like 10 years. So I was like, leg it, just get on a train. And I literally just got everything ready and just went. And no plans. Didn't realise, obviously, on a Monday everything's closed. Turner Contemporary was closed. Everything, it's just like worst day, but best day because it was just sun and walking on a beach and fresh air.
And quiet. I just think like I value my peace and quiet now. I don't know also if that's because I'm mid-30s and if it's just something that as you get older.
Yeah. That's what I was thinking it's to do with, but actually you're right. I think there's an awful lot to do with the fact that we all were locked down for so long. It's a lot now. Getting back into it all.
Yeah, that's it. Like we're all, I was chatting to a couple of other freelancers, like we've all had a lull from like January till like tax season. And one of the freelancers was like, oh yeah, of course we didn't have this for 2 years because we were playing catch up with like, leftover bits from the pandemic. And I was like, of course that's what it is. Like this is normal, but we're all like shitting our pants because it's not been like this for 2 years because we've forgotten what it was like.
It's so true. And it's not good, but it's also like kind of a relief when you talk to other freelancers who, that's been a fear always of mine from day one of like I've always been freelance because I've just basically been modelling and being an artist. So you never know. And I don't think people that are in, normal jobs, I guess, are ever aware of how stressful it is. It's like day to day, you don't know. And so I'll be like, oh, I don't know when my next job's coming. And it's a horrible feeling because you can't plan for anything. When I'm saying I'm desperate for a holiday because the weather's just relentlessly awful, you can't justify that because you might have had a good couple of months or whatever it might be, but you just don't know what's coming, especially as these like things had happened overnight and jobs changing and things. So, it's really tricky being a freelancer. And I have to keep reminding myself seasonally as well that, it's the lead up to this and people then start designing again and then there'll be work again and then they show the work and then it's like a process, but you always get the fear like, this is it.
Yeah. Literally, Nath goes to me like, hun, this has happened for the last 10 years. Can you not gauge this now?
Yeah. Chill out. You're going to get a job next week. And it'll be like, oh, I'm so busy. Oh, but yeah.
He's like, you're never happy. You're either too quiet or too busy.
It's so true. And then I'm really trying to make changes in myself that I enjoy this time. It's like, okay, if it's quiet, do what you need to do, but also enjoy that time. Like yesterday, I just thought, it's a Monday, but fine. I'm just going to go, and I don't know when the next sun is, so get out.
Yeah.
Make the most of it.
Yeah, that's it. I'm the same now. I'm like, right, if it's sunny and I'm off, I'm like, right, I'll take the dog out for miles and just get out, because, you just don't know. And I think then it's this downtime is perfect time to record more, or do some artwork, or do something not necessarily productive, but something that gives you a bit of energy, a bit of makes you feel a bit fulfilled.
Definitely. And I think it's so important that even if right now it's that I'm writing lists of things, so there's something I do every day that, even as small as it might be, it's something every day that works towards some particular goal or where you want to be. And then you have the time to do that, and you have to use that time like now to, because like you said, you might be suddenly really busy again, and then you sort of putting aside all the actual things that you want to do. So it's been quite good. A bit of a spring clean.
Yeah, definitely. I'm definitely there. And my work's just started to pick up a little bit. Like this week, on Monday, I had no days booked in, and now I've got 3. And next week, currently got nothing, but...
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you're like, oh. And my sister's the same. She's always like, you always say this, Martha, that you haven't got any work, but then and then I literally say I've got nothing next week, and then it'll be like every day booked in.
Yeah.
But you just don't know. And I'm like, I know I always say it, but it's always really scary.
Yeah, yeah. It's so scary. And you're like, I'm like sat there like, did I smell the last time I was on a job, or was I just really rubbish?
In my head, like, they haven't replied. Is it because... And all these things go, running through my head. Or last time was I, did the stuff not fit very well? Or
Yeah. Oh, well, Martha, it's been so lovely to catch up with you.
Me too.
And it's been so nice to hear about your textile work and your modelling. And thank you so much for coming on the show.
No problem. Thank you for having me. It's been really nice to talk to you.
It's been lush. Thanks. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode. I hope you enjoyed it. Please rate, follow and share, as it really helps this little podcast out. And if you have found value in the podcast and you have the means to, I do have a Buy Me a Coffee link in the show notes. This will help keep the podcast going. Join me next week for another fantastic guest. Bye!